Welcome to the week that was, the news show you'll actually watch. As always, we have a lot to cover, so let's get right down to it.
What are you doing here, Malama?
I could say the same thing to you, seat thief.
You left. They had auditions and everything, and now I'm here. Why are you here to ruin my moment?
Unfortunately, my country music career didn't pan out, so now I'm back to take back my seat.
No. This is my seat.
Stephen Carlton, I challenge you to a host-off.
Challenge accepted. This would be the best fight since Batman vs. Superman. So, like, last Friday.
It's on.
So speaking of Batman vs. Superman, it was the first movie to hit $150 million at the box office and be rated rotten on Rotten Tomatoes at the same time. Environmental activists commented that maybe filmmakers should refrigerate their movies when they're not in use.
Dude, that joke wasn't even funny. You just made a bad pun about tomatoes.
Okay, well, let's see what you got then.
Miami airport was evacuated after a suspicious package was found in the terminals. But really, isn't every package in Florida suspicious? In fact, I think Florida's slogan is, Florida, America's suspicious package.
The ICTV website went offline for a short while over the past week. As a result, the domain actually was available for purchase for a short while. Thank goodness Donald Trump didn't buy it and make it redirect to his website.
Bernie Sanders won the Alaska caucus. In fact, Alaska felt the burn so much that a significant amount of ice sheets melted and sea levels rose by 10 inches.
New Jersey is leading a charge to make texting while walking illegal. There's no word on whether or not sexting while walking will also be outlawed, but I hope for my Tinder match's sake that it isn't.
Recent archaeological evidence suggests William Shakespeare's skull was stolen from his grave. I guess somebody wanted to perform a really, really authentic version of Hamlet.
The latest iPhone update was reported to cause apps to freeze and crash. Then Samsung, in their latest attempt to one-up Apple, introduced an update that causes phones to literally turn into a block of ice.
Ivanka Trump gave birth to her third child, Theodore. Following Donald's example, she commented, "If he wasn't my son, perhaps I'd be dating him."
Hugh Jackman rescued drowning children in Australia this weekend. Too bad he couldn't rescue Pan's performance at the box office.
Fidel Castro criticizes Obama's visit. But Fidel, come on, you can't say that. You've been more distant than Stephen when he told his therapist he didn't get him.
CNN said Reddit isn't a reliable news source, but I'd trust it before I'd trust you to tell a decent joke.
Oh, getting serious now, are we?
Absolutely, my good man.
Why did the chicken cross the road? Because you suck.
What's red and smells like blue paint? Red paint.
That wasn't even news related.
Oh yeah? Well, at least it was funny. Unlike your terrible jokes.
Oh yeah? Well, wait a minute. What is that?
Oh, that's just our Kanye West tweet of the week. It says, "I love you."
Wow. That's really special.
I know. If an egotistical maniac like Kanye West can learn to love, then why can't we? Unless, of course, this tweet was meant for himself.
You're right. I say we put aside our differences and just host the show together. What do you say?
I say, let's do it.
Great. Oh, and just one more joke for you. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
The new host. Who is Ted Cruz, really? Man, it feels good to be back in this chair. I forgot how roomy this space was. So there's something that's been a pressing issue in my life lately that I'm really glad I can talk to you all about. I don't know if you're all aware, but one of our presidential candidates has been lying about their identity. No, I'm not talking about how Donald Trump's name is Drumpf. That weird British guy covered that already. I'm talking about Ted Cruz. We all know Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer, an alien, Canadian, and the lead singer of Stryper, but that's only the surface of the many lives Ted has lived. First off, Ted Cruz is a snowman come to life. Pre-Magical Hug, you may have caught him in the 1998 film Jack Frost, where he gave a haunting performance as Michael Keaton's body double for the snowman part of the movie. Second, Mr. Ratburn. As a child, I was a frequent viewer of the award-winning television program Arthur. Mr. Ratburn was this unrealistic third-grade teacher who sang songs about assigning homework, which he assigned way too much of, by the way. I mean, chart the journey that Balboa took, do the first 1,000 problems in your new math book. The kids were 8 freaking years old. As soon as I saw him in the debates, I just knew that Mr. Ratburn managed to cross over from the TV dimension and into our own. Ted Cruz isn't from Canada. He's from a completely different dimension. Third, a frog who spilt milk. Picture being in Florida and opening your rusty fridge you bought from the casual encounter section of Craigslist and seeing a red Texas poison dart frog. The frog gets startled and knocks over the milk and puts on that classic Steve Urkel, did I do that face. Fourth, my 7th grade substitute teacher. When my math teacher broke her leg, he took over, disguised with a goatee and a different name, and ruined my life. He wrote these terrible short stories he published online, and I'm pretty sure he's why I still don't understand algebra. Ted Cruz doesn't want me to know math because that's how I was able to add up all these suspicious facts. Wait a second. For real? No way. All right, well, so much for hosting. Turns out my country music career has taken off because I just got signed. That's right, you'll be seeing old Farmer Malama and his tractors at this year's American Country Music Awards. Yeehaw! Oh, and Steven, I guess you're back. After a break.
Well, now that Malama's gone and I have my seat back, our main story tonight comes to you courtesy of former professional wrestler and man who looks like Guy Fieri's grandfather, Hulk Hogan. This weekend, Hogan won $150 million in a lawsuit against the online news site Gawker. The case goes like this.
This morning, Hulk Hogan is preparing for the battle of a lifetime. But this time, the Hulkster, whose real name is Terry Bollea, isn't headed into the ring, but into a courtroom. The WWE star suing the gossip site for $100 million for posting a video of him having sex with Heather Clem, the then wife of his former best friend, Florida radio DJ Bubba the Love Sponge.
Okay, first, of course Hulk Hogan's ex-best friend is a man whose legal name is Bubba the Love Sponge Clem. But looking past the bizarreness of the actual details of this case, it's clear it's a big deal. And it's not just because the huge settlement is enough money to make Hulk Hogan the next guest shark on Shark Tank. The bigger debate here isn't about Hulk Hogan's life at all. It's about the balance between the press's First Amendment rights and a public figure's privacy rights.
Gawker and Hulk Hogan had a lot invested in this trial, but so did several other media outlets, particularly celebrity media outlets, as well as lawyers in general who wanted to see how this would play out. Does Gawker have the argument on side? Do they have material that they can publish because there's a public interest in it? Or does a celebrity who Gawker says lived his life out in public have a right to a certain degree of privacy?
Now, Gawker claims that the story was newsworthy and that the freedom of the press allowed him to publish it without punishment. But Hogan's team argued that Gawker violated his rights in journalistic practice. And clearly, the jury agreed. To be fair, Gawker isn't the most professional news site out there. Some of it recently features stories like have headlines like, is Ted Cruz the tragically deceased Princess Diana? And let the woman keep her gator. But the same can be said about tons of news sites on the internet, from BuzzFeed to the Huffington Post. Living in a digital world means people's public and private lives blend together. And suddenly Ted Cruz and a lady with a pet gator are equally more important in the public eye. Love America! Gawker was wrong to publish this video without Hogan's consent, just as it would be wrong, and in some states illegal, to publish the same sort of private graphic content of anyone else. But it's not appealing the court decision for that reason. It's appealing in order to determine a bigger precedent of what is and isn't fair game in online news reporting. Independently owned online news sites like Gawker might publish ridiculous stories comparing Ted Cruz and Princess Diana, but they can also do some serious muckraking and report more freely than traditional corporate-owned media outlets. Also, Hulk Hogan isn't entirely blameless in this situation. As Gawker pointed out during the trial, he talked openly about his romantic life in plenty of other public interviews. Hogan chose to defend himself in the weirdest possible way.
Become a total circus. On Tuesday, Hogan was cross-examined by Gawker's legal team, which grilled the wrestling icon for hours about everything from his extramarital affairs to the size of his. Interestingly enough, Hogan says that there's a clear distinction between Hulk Hogan the character and Terry Bollea the man.
I mean, look at this.
As Hulk Hogan, you know, I've said I've slammed an elephant and surfed on a tiger shark and, you know, body slammed Moby Dick. So, and I've also said I pulled the bumper off a Cadillac Jack. So it gives you artistic liberty when you're Hulk Hogan to be a character, and it's entertainment.
That was Hulk Hogan telling these people about the experience. That wasn't Terry Bollea telling folks about the experience, right?
Well, like I said before, whenever I leave my house, I'm not Terry Bollea, I'm Hulk Hogan, I'm the character.
That's right, folks. Hulk Hogan pulled the Hannah Montana card, saying he's a totally different person outside your home, and from the one inside basically makes Hogan the human version of his own bleach blonde mullet. Except, I guess in his case, only the party in the back is left. But the thing is, Hogan didn't suffer so much because of the leaked videos. They're prurient in nature. He suffered because during the course of the video, he repeatedly used racist language, which ultimately cost him his spot in the Wrestling Hall of Fame, which to the athletic world's version of the MTV Movie Awards. Essentially meaningless and, you know, vaguely uncomfortable. The public is totally fine with celebrities getting jiggity with it, but dropping the N-word on camera, well, that's a different situation entirely, and it makes the story at least a little bit more newsworthy than it would initially seem. Don't fans have a right to know if their favorite 6-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion has some pretty awful political views? I mean, maybe they should have already known something was up, since the man does look like a walking, talking mascot for Chick-fil-A. But I don't know. This case is far from over, and because the decision is so recent, it's hard to see the long-term effects this will have on online journalism. Gawker's appeal could end up overturning the decision in Hogan's favor and also lower or remove the punitive damages they have to pay, which would give media outlets more power in choosing what to cover. Personally, I'm not sure that I trust the courts to decide this issue. I think that there's clearly a better way to settle this. That's why tonight, I'm extending an invitation to Hulk Hogan and Gawker CEO Nick Denton to come to Ithaca and step in the ring to decide this once and for all. We'll follow standard WWE rules. I mean, I'll ref, that's probably cool. And no lawyers. Just body slams and atomic leg drops. The winner won't get $100 million, but I can promise you a shiny championship belt. I hope that's good enough. Let's get ready to rumble on out of here, because that's all we have for you, and we're done. We'll see you next week on The Week That Was.